Every so often, we hear about people tinkering around with ideas about how to gain immortality, how to beat death. Some people have their bodies cryogenically preserved so that when medical science finally figures out how to prolong life indefinitely, they can be thawed, resuscitated, cured of whatever had caused their deaths, and hence given new life. Today, some actually believe medical science is on the verge of discovering the secrets to extending life indefinitely. I myself am skeptical, to say the least. But more than that, I'm scandalized. For what is the desire for immortality but a kind of idolatry? The Christian faith promises everlasting life, but this is not the same as immortality. It is a completely different thing altogether. And it is what Paul talks about in today's reading from 2 Corinthians. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, May 31st, 2025. The movie, The Green Mile, based on Stephen King's novel of the same name, follows a portion of the life story of a prison guard in charge of death row. It tells of an unusual encounter, of course, being a Stephen King novel, we would expect that, an encounter with a wrongly condemned man named John Coffey, a man with miraculous powers of healing. Telling the story as a very old man, the guard, Paul Edgecombe, tells his new lady friend, Elaine, at their retirement home that he is 108 years old, because so many years before, John Coffey had healed him. Elaine says to him, "He infected you with life?" That sounds great, right? But for Paul Edgecombe, this wasn't a blessing at all. It was a curse. He was cursed with having to watch everyone he loved die long before him and wondering how long he would have to live. But for another Paul, the Apostle Paul, being infected with life isn't about extending this life indefinitely. It's not about immortality. It is about the profound good news that we will have everlasting life in Jesus Christ. Paul is quite clear that we human beings are mortal. He knows that death is simply part of each one's life. And yet his hope is for life eternal. He even has a wonderful turn of phrase to describe the mortal body. Remember, Paul was making his living as a tent maker. Wherever he traveled, he would earn his living, his keep, by making tents for people. And of course, there was always a market for tents, for they inevitably wore out and had to be replaced. So we shouldn't be surprised then that he uses the image of a tent as a metaphor for the human body. In words familiar to anyone who has ever attended a graveside service, he says, "So we do not lose heart. Even though our outer nature is wasting away, our inner nature is being renewed day by day. For this slight momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all measure, because we look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary, but what cannot be seen is eternal. For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For in this tent we groan, longing to be clothed with our heavenly dwelling, if indeed, when we have taken it off, we will not be found naked. For while we are still in this tent, we groan under our burden, because we wish not to be unclothed, but to be further clothed, so that what is mortal may be swallowed up by life. He who has prepared us for this very thing is God, who has given us the Spirit as a guarantee." As apt a description of the human body as an earthly tent is, it is his phrase, "so that what is mortal may be swallowed up by life," is even more fetching. It's akin, I think, to Elaine's remark to Paul Edgecombe about having been infected by life. Only in this case, it's not immortal life without death. It is eternal life beyond death. Isn't that a wonderful image? Swallowed up by life. On Monday, the ministry of reconciliation. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.